you've ever found yourself scrolling social media, cleaning the kitchen, or suddenly needing to reorganize your entire wardrobe when you have something important to do, this episode is for you. Procrastination. It isn't laziness, and it's not a personality trait. It's a stress response. So today we're unpacking why you procrastinate, how your brain keeps you stuck in the cycle, and a simple 3-step process to finally break free. We're getting into the science, the mindset shifts, and real-world strategies that you can apply today. So if you're ready to stop beating yourself up and start taking action, let's go. Welcome to The Brain Changers, a podcast about learning how to revolutionize the way you think and live by mastering your mind. We're your hosts, mother and daughter duo Rebecca and Yvonne King from Moonbeam Monday. Our goal is to empower you to live the life you choose by teaching you how to retrain your brain. Some people tell us it sounds like mind control, and it is, but not the way you might think. This is about you taking control of your own mind rather than letting your mind control you, so you can choose to live a life free from the expectations of others. No matter what you've experienced in the past, you can create positive change and transformation by learning how to master your mind. We know this because we've done it. Between us, we've survived cancer and stroke and eliminated debilitating anxiety and depression. We've turned our pain into purpose through the power of our mind, and we're now here to support and guide you to do the same. In this podcast, we share valuable insights about how your brain works, why you think, say, and do the things you do, how to begin the process of change, and why it's necessary. Because we know that when you change your mind, you change your life. Thanks for joining us. Let's go. Welcome back to the Brain Changers podcast. I'm Rebecca King. I'm here with my mum, Yvonne, and today we are tackling a topic that every single one of us has dealt with at some point: procrastination. Now, Yvonne, I don't think I've ever met a person who hasn't procrastinated, and yet so many of us carry this secret guilt inside, like it's a personal failing when we procrastinate.
Exactly, Beck. We can tell ourselves we're lazy, we lack discipline, or we're just that kind of a person. But, in reality, none of that is true. Procrastination is actually a response to stress and overwhelm. It's actually your brain trying to protect you, not sabotage you. So today we're going to help everyone just reframe how you think about procrastination. And even better, we're going to give you a practical system to break this cycle. So, big question, why do we procrastinate? And here's a spoiler alert, it's not what you think.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's get into the science of this. Now, when we procrastinate, as we've said, it's not because we're lazy. It's because our brain perceives the task as a threat. Now, Yvonne, can you explain what's actually happening in the brain when we procrastinate?
Sure. When we're faced with a big or important or perhaps overwhelming task, our amygdala, or the brain's emotional center, kicks in and it activates the fight, flight, or freeze response. And in the case of procrastination, it's freeze. We've all felt that, haven't we? We're frozen in action. But meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, or the logical decision-making part of our brain, gets overridden by stress. So what happens? Instead of tackling the task, we reach for something that gives us an instant dopamine hit. Perhaps that's scrolling social media for some, binge watching Netflix, or even doing other productive but less important tasks like, heaven forbid, organizing your desk.
Yeah, I think that's one that I do sometimes. We go for the easy stuff, right? So we're not actually avoiding the task itself. We're avoiding the uncomfortable feelings that come with it, like fear of failure, perfectionism, or overwhelm. So think about it. How often have you put off something because you're scared it won't be perfect? I know that we've got a lot of self-confessed perfectionists out there. So how often do you put things off because you fear that it won't be perfect or because it feels too big and you don't even know where to start? So I want us to look at 3 steps to help break the pattern of procrastination because like any habit, procrastination is simply a pattern.
That's right. Now, the first step in this process is to forgive yourself. Now, what does this mean? Well, research shows that people who forgive themselves for procrastinating are actually less likely to do it again. But what does it mean to forgive yourself? Well, basically, stop beating yourself up for for doing it. That's a negative thing, and it's not likely to galvanize us into action. So just say, look, I forgive myself for avoiding this. I'm going to do the best I can, and now I'm ready to take action.
Yes. Because as I said before, procrastination is simply a habit that we've gotten into, just like any habit that we have, the habit of tying our shoes, a habit of brushing our teeth. Procrastination is a habit or a pattern. It's not a personality trait. And habits can be changed. We all know that. We've all changed a habit at one point in time. We've perhaps stopped biting our fingernails. That was a habit I had as a kid. We might have stopped the habit of smoking or started the habit of making our bed every morning or cooking regularly. Brushing our teeth, like I said, is even a habit that we've all created, hopefully. We're all capable of changing a habit, including procrastination.
That's so true, isn't it? And just moving on from that, step two is to actually identify the real stressor.
Mm.
So now that we're not beating ourselves up for not getting on with the task, let's just take a moment to identify the real reason that we're procrastinating, because it's not the task, it's the stress behind it. So ask yourself, what am I really stressed about? What am I really trying to avoid? Now, this could be fear of failure. It could be a feeling of imposter syndrome. Maybe it's perfectionism, and or maybe you're just purely exhausted.
Mm.
It could be any of those or any other reason. And remember that imposter syndrome and perfectionism at the core are fear. So let's get back to what are we truly afraid of?
Yes. And by the way, if you want to unpack perfectionism and imposter syndrome, make sure you tune into the next episode because we're going to be talking about these specifically. So it's just a little shout out. Okay. So to step 3, use the 5-second rule. Now that you've forgiven yourself, you've identified the stressor, it's time to take action. And we're using one of my favorite techniques. Actually, I think you first introduced me to this technique a few years ago, Mum. This is Mel Robbins's 5-second rule. So if you're not familiar with Mel Robbins, check her out. Highly recommend her. She's the master of taking action. She's written books on the topic, and the one that we're referring to today is all about the 5-second rule. It's simple. Count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move or take action, right? This interrupts that hesitation cycle and it activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that makes logical decisions. And it literally overrides the part of your brain that wants to procrastinate. If you allow that hesitation to kick in, if you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you don't move and you hesitate, that's when procrastination kicks back in. So it's creating this new habit of counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and do something. So right now, think of a task that you've been putting off. What's one small step that you can take and count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go and do it. Hey there, listeners. This is Rebecca King, the Brain Changer, helping you revolutionize the way you think so you can live your life on purpose. If you're loving what you're learning here on The Brain Changes, we've got something special for you. Take back control of your own mind and truly connect with like-minded people by joining our Mind Masters Collective, a premium subscription membership for those who want to feel happy and confident again, to feel seen, heard, and valued at an incredibly affordable price. Inside, you'll gain exclusive access to a supportive community of people on the same journey as you, knowing they want something more and ready to invest in themselves to achieve it. You'll get loads of valuable resources and expert guidance on mastering your mind to help you live your absolute best life. You'll make new connections and friends that you didn't even know you needed. We'll get close and personal in monthly masterclasses with guest experts and monthly mastermind group coaching to help you navigate the challenges and celebrate the wins as you grow and change. Join us now by clicking the link in the show notes. We're all waiting excitedly for you to join us inside the collective.
Yeah, that's a really simple way to promote action, isn't it, Beck? But, another way is to shift our mindset. If we're looking for longer term change, one of the biggest shifts we can make is in our language or the way we speak to ourselves. Instead of saying, I have to do this, which just has the connotation of a burden or an obligation, doesn't it? Try to just reframe that and say, I get to do this, or I choose to do this, or I even want to do this. So, like in a work situation, for example, instead of saying, I have to write this report, which sounds laborious, a task that you might not want to do, reframe that in different language and say, I'm going to write this report because it showcases my expertise. It might seem like a small shift, but it's incredible how that small change can make you feel about the task.
Yes, we all know, well, we've talked about it before. We talk about it with all of our clients, don't we? The power of language, even a couple of small tweaks in our language, whether it be external language or that internal language in our mind, is incredibly powerful.
Exactly.
All right, so let's recap. Number one, procrastination isn't laziness. All right, so if you've been calling yourself lazy because you procrastinate, I want you to know that procrastination isn't laziness. All right, it's a stress response. Number two, to break the habit, first of all, forgive yourself. It might sound really weird, like why is that going to make a difference? But as we said, there's research to show that when we forgive ourselves for doing things that we would normally beat ourselves up over, we're less likely to do that thing again because it's like we're giving ourselves a break. So to break the habit, forgive yourself, identify the real stressor. What are you actually stressed about? And then take action using Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. And then number three, your language shapes your mindset. So start saying, I get to do this. Now, we want to hear from you. So what is one task that you've been putting off, and what's the first step you're going to take today? Now, notice that we're not saying go and do the whole thing. It's important to break things down as well, because sometimes we talked about it before. It's the sheer overwhelm that comes with, I've got this massive task to do. So we're just talking about taking the first step. So what's one task you've been putting off, and what's the first step you're going to take today? Hit us up on socials, DM us, and let us know what's one step you're going to take to end your habit of procrastination. And if you found this episode helpful, we'd love for you to share it with a friend who needs a little push to get started, or let's say encouragement. All right, so that is it for today. Thank you for tuning into The Brain Changes. And until next time, remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Brain Changes. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Our mission is to reach as many people as possible to help them revolutionize the way they think so they can change their brain and create profound transformation. Please help us broaden our reach by sharing this episode with someone you know will benefit. And remember to tag us on socials at Moonbeam Monday and leave a review. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. We'll catch you next time for another episode of The Brain Changers.